I've gathered every single flyer on ASA to show you which one is the best, how all of them function, and all of the abilities. Let's go ahead and start off with the smallest one. First up, we have the Archaeopatix. I know I butchered that, but anyways, we have this little thing. Now this little guy is he's technically a flyer, but he's not, a flyer with a saddle, but he allows you to glide. So he's very similar to the Terror Bird, but his main ability is just being able to glide like that. Now you can basically keep doing this if you're trying to go a far distance. Like for example, let's go all the way up here, and I'll show you what these are really mainly meant for. So it's kind of like the Simulcrops, but Simulcrops is not technically out yet. Oh god, I can't land. I'm getting stuck. But yeah, so the Simo is not basically out yet, so yeah, he's just used kind of similar to a Terror Bird. You just hit spacebar and you don't have to hit anything else. It's kind of similar to a parachute as well, in that same form that, he kind of just glides for you, except you're able to control where you go a little bit easier. It's about the same as a parachute, but if you don't have a parachute on you and you got this guy on your shoulder, he definitely helps. But yeah, these guys can pretty much be tamed anywhere on almost any map. They're most commonly found in redwoods, so if you're looking for one of these little guys, they're a bit of a pain to tame. Just don't get them mixed up with a lot of other dinos because they all look kind of the same. Next up, we got the Terror Bird. Now the Terror Bird is technically not a flyer, but I figured I'd put him on this list because of one main reason, and that is the fact that they can glide. So again, we're going to go ahead and do the same treatment that I did with the last one. When you jump off a cliff and you hit spacebar, as you can see, they glide you literally anywhere that you want to go. So it's technically a flyer, you just don't really have your total control over where you're flying. But overall, it's a pretty amazing dino if you're just looking just to troll some people, especially because of how fast that they are. You can just run up on somebody, bite them, and then just glide away like you were never even there. It's definitely a troll dino, I'll say that. If you're looking for a little fun dino to just kind of tame, they're insanely easy to find. Go to redwoods, there's 1,000 of them. You can tame them pretty much instantly. I mean, they take pretty much no time to tame, and they glide around the map. It's just a phenomenal dino just to have if you're just looking for some fun and you're bored. Now we got the Pelagornis. Now the Pelagornis is an interesting one. This is your first technical flyer on this list. I'm just kind of going from smallest to largest, and this one is a little interesting. So his main purpose is being used as a jet ski. If you see here, he can go insanely fast on water. Funny enough, about the same speed as his flight. So if you want to save some stamina, save some time, just kind of go down on the water, and it's kind of funny how he functions. But yeah, so it doesn't really have too much of a use if you're just looking for a more unique dino. He's not as fast as a PT, probably about the same as an Argentavis for speed, but overall it's pretty cool. If you're also looking for a nice organic polymer farmer, these guys are phenomenal at farming organic polymer, so you can go take it to some penguins, go kill them, harvest them. It will farm you tremendous amounts of organic polymer, about right under what a moss chops would do for you. Knowing which flyer to pick on ARK can be a little bit stressful. Now if this also does give you anxiety, check out Mitra 9. Mitra 9 is a non-alcoholic supplement that quite literally makes you feel good. These drinks give you a high but without the impairment. They have a ton of great flavors, my favorite being root beer. If you're looking for a new drink to replace your coffee in the morning, Mitra is the way to go. Simply go to mitra9.com and use my code OUTCAST for 25% off your entire order. Now, back to the video. Then we got the Lymantria. Now this thing isn't really used for much. It was originally found whenever Scorched Earth came out. It is this little moth. It's a cute little thing if anyone's just looking for a nice cute little dino. Now its abilities, you have your first, which is an attack. You have right click, which doesn't really do anything. I believe it is, I forget which button it is to ink, but you can basically poop on dinos. It's hard to do it. I completely forget which one. You left click, there it goes. Now you're able to see it. So the left click is the missed attack, my bad. I thought it was the regular attack. I've not used one of these in ages. But yeah, that is the missed attack. It does a little spread damage and it does blind some dinos as well. It's actually a little bit useful. It doesn't really have too many abilities other than the fact that they're really good at harvesting silk. So if you ever find any silk leaves, go take a moth over to it and you can harvest quite a bit of silk from those bushes. Next up we have everyone's favorite dino, which is the Pteranodon. Now this thing is the most useful tame in my honest opinion for just flying around the map. It is insanely easy to tame. Simply just go get a bola, get a couple trank arrows, go find a good level, and you can find them practically anywhere. They spawn in pretty much every single zone on most maps other than like Apparition and stuff, but you can find them more in the redwoods on most areas. and well, they're actually pretty phenomenal. So first up, you do have your left click right here. Your right click is for picking. I can't find any dinos to pick, but you can just come up there and pick dinos. They're more commonly used for PvP though, as you can pick players off of dinos. That's what their main purpose is mostly for. Only issue with the Pteranodons, they are extremely weak, meaning if you run into a turret, you are dead instantly. If somebody can find you in the sky and has a Fabi, you're dead instantly. They will kill you. Now, if you have a good saddle and you have really good stats on one, you have the ability to kind of run because you can take a little bit of damage. But a primitive saddle with a regular 150 tame, you're going to get killed pretty much instantly. Now, the other main ability that a lot of people love about this guy is hitting C. This is the C-Spin. C-Spin is basically a barrel roll, which most other dinos don't have this ability. I think you have one more maybe that has this. But the PT basically allows him to move a big jolt faster and kind of just get out of there if you're trying to run from somebody. But yeah, the biggest downfall with PTs are their stamina. As you can see here, I just ran out of stamina literally just filming this. Their stamina runs out extremely quickly, and that is the biggest issue with these guys, so just always watch your stam. Then we got the Tapejara. Now the Tapejara is this pretty insane looking different version of the PT. Looks very similar, has the same kind of bone structure, except it has a much fatter head. It is a lot bigger too, and it has the ability to hold 3 people on the saddle. That's probably one of the biggest things about this guy, other than the fact that he can literally hold onto the side of walls. So yeah, let's go ahead and try a different wall here. Let's see if I can get one of them to work. There it goes. So you just gotta hit spacebar, and you gotta find a proper wall that actually functions. Most walls don't. So find a good wall that actually works, because the game is pretty glitchy, and you can just latch onto it by just hitting spacebar. It's that easy. But then we have the Argentavis, probably the most popular one on this list, and that is simply because of a few main reasons. First of all, this is the best dino to use for just taming, picking dinos up, running around with a lot of resources, and for one of the biggest abilities, his inventory is a smithy, meaning that you can move around and you can literally craft anything that you want in here. That is basically in his smithy. It's pretty simple, and it's honestly a pretty amazing feature. And now he primarily has a lot of more health than usual and a lot more weight. Those are the two big things about the Argent. This is stock official settings right here. There's nothing really done to it, and then you can see it went up a decent chunk. On boosted servers, he is the go-to. Now, the biggest issue with the Argentavis is the speed. As you can see here, he's not the quickest little guy. He moves pretty slowly, but he did get a bit of a upgrade with the last TLC whenever we had one for the Argent, because if you don't know, the old Argentavis looked a little sloppy. I still miss the old design though, that was pretty cool. But the new one does look pretty amazing, and it added the smithy saddle, which is pretty awesome. Now, the cool thing about him is you're able to just randomly pick up dinos that are relatively big. Like here's a Gallimimus. I don't think I can pick him up. Yeah, no, he's a little too big for me. But he's primarily used for picking up stuff like a Doedicurus and an Ankylo. Those are the two main dinos for farming stone and metal. And you can basically pick them up, and with the solo farm mod, and honestly I believe official has the setting now to just do a solo farm, you can pick up dinos and they will farm for you in their hands. You can pick up a Anky, take him over to these rocks, and he'll auto basically harvest them for you. It is a very overpowered thing, but honestly one of probably the best features that ARK has added. So if you are a solo, the Argentavis is definitely the way to go. Next up, we have a lot of people's favorite flyer, which is the Snow Owl. The Snow Owl is probably one of the most beautiful things in the game in my honest opinion, because first of all, it's an owl. It's got cool little glow effects on him, and he's white for the most part. They do come in a couple different colors, but he matches the snow extremely well. He blends in insanely well, and it's got some pretty amazing abilities. Out of all the dinos on this list, his abilities are the best. The first one, you have a first, which is just a simple bite, doesn't really do anything. Next one is your right click, which just freezes stuff. So you can basically dive bomb freeze people. Pretty overpowered. So you run down on them and you just dive onto them. You don't have to dive to do it. You can simply just sit here. All right, so for example, here is a Stego, and the cool ability about him, oh no, he's being attacked. Just freeze him. Oh, it's not letting me freeze. Okay, never mind, my stamina's low. Oops. So yeah, you come up here and you just right click, hold it down, and it will freeze everything within a certain radius of you, healing them. Now it heals the tamed stuff, and yeah, it appears to be healing wild stuff as well. It also has a bit of a cooldown, so it will freeze stuff, but it is a pretty amazing ability that allows you to heal any dino that is near you that needs to be healed because it's getting damaged by something. And you can physically watch his health bar. It's going down because he has a lot of dinos attacking him, but normally it would be going up very quickly. Now the biggest issue with this is the stamina. It uses a lot of stamina to heal, so make sure that you have a lot of your points into stamina. Another amazing ability that this guy does have is the ability to dive bomb, which is very similar to the Griffin. I'll show you the Griffin here in a second. But yeah, look at this. He has the ability to dive super quick, so if you ever need to outrun somebody, you can dive, you can do crazy little maneuvers, and yeah, just take off. Definitely an amazing dino, has some phenomenal abilities, probably one of the best ones on this list. Next up we have the Griffin. Now the Griffin is another fan favorite for a lot of players. It came out with Ragnarok. It is the newest one technically for ASA, but it's been out since, ASE. Now the Griffin doesn't really have too many abilities. He did get nerfed quite a bit back in the day because he used to have this glitch where you could basically do this and climb super high very, very quickly. They unfortunately patched that. And some cool abilities, he has a hit ability. He has the ability to pick in his front claws instead of the back claws with most dinos. The front claws are his picking abilities. His main ability is dive bombing. Now he moves a little bit different than the snow owl. He can move a lot wider and kind of gain a little bit more speed, but they're roughly about the same. Now that's his main abilities. He doesn't really have anything too crazy. Snow owl is still better in my honest opinion, but Griffin is a lot better for PvP. The other issue with this though is that he does not have a saddle, which does weaken him quite a bit. It's probably the biggest thing with the Griffin, but yeah, it's a mix of a lion and a bird pretty much together in one. Pretty interesting dino, I'll say that. He does have the ability to hold a second person on his back. If you know what you're doing, you can just kind of put, honestly, as many people as you want on his back and you can fly around. So if you need a nice little tribe dino, he's pretty good. Now this is probably one of the coolest dinos on ARK just for the looks, and that is the Phoenix. This is a green Phoenix. They come in many different colors, but this guy is insane. So his main ability is that he can fly insanely fast and light a lot of stuff on fire. You can also shoot fireballs at things, so if you're bored, go ahead and shoot a couple fireballs at some dinos. Holding down C is basically another ability to pick. You also have left click, and one of his biggest abilities, if you hold down spacebar, he flies insanely fast, and when he does this, anything in his path will be lit on fire. So let's go ahead and circle back around so I can show you this with these dinos down here. So you can do flybys on somebody's base if you know what you're doing. And so here's this Bronto right here. So let's go insanely fast at the Bronto, and it will light him on fire. If this works properly, it might not work. Okay, it didn't want to work right there. May have changed it, or I might be a little rusty with this guy, but I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be lighting stuff on fire. Yeah, I think I'm doing something wrong. But yeah, so when you fly past dinos, you can basically light stuff. Usually, I think I'm hitting one of the wrong buttons here, but pretty overpowered dino, pretty insane. And another cool ability is that he can actually smelt metal in his inventory. So here's 100 raw metal. As soon as you put it in his inventory, it takes a little longer than a regular forge, of course, but he does smelt ingots, as you can see. So yeah, pretty cool dino to have, as he's literally a portable forge for you. And these guys can only primarily be found on Scorched Earth. That is their main map, but it can be found on some new future maps, of course, because ARK is adding a lot of other dinos onto the newer ones. So yeah, if you want to tame him on one of the other maps, feel free to, but he can only be found usually on Scorched Earth during a main firestorm, during a heat wave. That is only when these guys spawn. And then we got the gas bags. Now the gas bags is technically not a flyer, but he has some cool abilities. So first up, you got spacebar, which just allows him to jump. You got left click, which just allows him to do that. But if you hold down right click, he turns into a giant airbag. And when you let go and jump, he can kind of glide around the map. Now, it's a little bit difficult to control him. That is probably my only issue here. Because he goes up very high, and even to this day I still mess up. Like, I forget what button it is to go back down. So if you want to go up super high and well, fall to your death, this is definitely the guy for it. But if you're trying to get up to a base super quickly, this is also the guy for it. Basically, if there's a base super high up on a cliff, these things can actually tank a little bit more than you would expect. So you can easily just go up there, take out a rocket or something, maybe try to shoot the base, and for the most part, you're pretty good. So again, right click is how you suck up air. This is the animation that he does, and you can pretty much jump around. You can jump all the way over here, and I still forget the button to let go of the air. Then we got the Rhinogothia. Now the Rhinogothia is one of the newer dinos that was added to ARK, and it's basically the new version of a Quetzal. It's a little bit quicker than a Quetzal, actually much quicker than a Quetzal. And it actually tells you what your controls are on the left. Why doesn't ARK do this for every dino? It would just make you know, the game a little bit easier. I wish that they would. Anyways, left control and C basically allows you to spit a resin. I don't have any built up on me right now though. Then you have left control and right click, which allows you to basically filter it. If you can see at the bottom of my screen, I can filter the animation for what he is going to do. C is taunt, except you can't really do that in the air. So I think you do it on the ground. I haven't really used the taunt animation that much. Yeah, taunt is done on the ground. Basically taunts things over to you, like a dino or something. Pretty cool animation there. Fire resin is right click, which again you can't do in the air, I don't think. Or I think it's because I don't have any on me. But yeah, that's fire resin. Left is just melee, you know, average animation. And you can do this while you're flying too, which is very helpful. But the cool one is this, which is that you can carry dinos, and not just, you know, your basic Anki or something for farming. No, you can carry pretty much any dino that is around the same size as him. As you can see here, he's about the same size as this Rex. And, well, using a left click, so it's left control and left click or R, you can pick up a dino. And I can literally pick up a Rex. So if you're new to ARK, yeah, this thing's pretty insane. This was only released with, I believe it's on ASC actually. I might be wrong. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Pretty sure that it is on ASC. But if not, he's on ASA. You have this pretty phenomenal ability to pick up most dinos. Now, this is not every dino, but this is most dinos. So you can pick up a dino, just drop it on someone's base. Definitely one of the more overpowered dinos on this list, and they're very easy to find. They're very simple to tame. I highly recommend getting one. And not to mention, they're pretty quick for what they are. Then we got the Quetzal. Now the Quetzal I literally just kind of talked about, but he is a much slower version of the Rhinogothia. The Quetzal is not used for anything anymore. Unfortunately, Quetzal's kind of dead now. After they released the Rhinogothia, nobody uses the Quetzal. I still have yet to see anybody use it. And with hatch frames gone, you can't hatch frame raid anymore. The Quetzal is practically useless. So yeah, unfortunately, they got nerfed quite a bit. But the good thing about these guys, you can hop off them, you can have them float in midair, you can build a full base on here, and have up to, I think it's like 40 structures or something on here. So you can literally live off of a Quetzal. If you have the proper stamina, which as you can see, the stam goes down very, very slowly. If you have proper stats into stamina, you can stay afloat pretty much half the day, pretty much. So you're looking for a slower dino, but you want to hide up in the sky or somewhere where not a lot of people are really going to find you. This is what a Quetzal is pretty much good at. Other than that, they're not that great. Next up, we have all of the wyverns. We're going to go ahead and start with the lightning. And this is the lightning wyvern. They're relatively fast, but all of these wyverns are the same except for the crystal wyverns, which I'll be showing after. So your abilities are left click, which is a bite. You have your right click, which is a lightning ability, which is honestly phenomenal. I love using it. It's really good for knocking some players out. It shreds armor though. So if you're trying to kill a person, like for example, that bird is a person, it's not difficult, but once you get your, the hang of it, you can shred people, like absolutely shred them. But that ability also can be used to knock out dinos. Not dinos. It can be used to knock out players, which is just extremely overpowered if their health is high. Because it does give a torpidity effect, but it's most likely going to kill them around the same time. You do have a pick ability, which is just C. You can pick off dinos, you can pick dinos, it doesn't really matter. And all wyverns have this ability, which is pretty cool. And if you just use, I believe it's C on the ground, you have the ability to harvest trees. You can knock down trees, you can harvest trees. It also knocks dinos back, so I'll show you this as well. You can see it will knock dinos a decent far back, like if they're on top of you. Just pushes them back a bit, a smidge. Then we got the fire wyvern. Now fire wyvern is probably my second favorite. I gotta go with lightning first of all, because lightning is just, it's beautiful. Fire is fire resistant to itself. So basically each wyvern on this list is going to be resistant to itself. So if there's another fire wyvern, he cannot set this fire wyvern on fire. If there's a poison wyvern, it cannot set the poison wyvern and use the effects on him to damage him. Same with lightning, so lightning cannot as well. Fire is probably the most overpowered for just AoE damage, because fire just obliterates. So, you have all your same abilities, but you have the ability to shoot flaming, just flames at dinos. Probably a very overpowered thing to have, especially if you're trying to just PvP some people, like for example, a kid on a PT or something. These are phenomenal for that. But lightning and fire are honestly kind of similar with the same effects and just how much damage that they do. We then have the poison wyvern. which the Poison Wyvern is probably the most beautiful one in my honest opinion. However, his abilities are just kinda eh. So he has all the same abilities, you know, your pick abilities and all that, except he shoots poison balls. Now, very similar to the Basilisk, except the Basilisk kind of took it from the Poison Wyvern. But the Poison Wyvern has the ability to kind of aimbot, and that's what makes this a little bit powerful. So as you can see, there's a Maywing right there. As you can see there, it shot him perfectly. I wasn't even really aiming at him. Like, I'll aim to the side over there. As you can see, it aimed straight at the Bronto's head, or it tried to, but he moved. That one's off. So not all of them are going to hit, but for the most part, the poison balls are kind of aimbot. So if you're looking to kind of shoot some people, it does help kind of force that hit on them. So you can try to shoot someone off the back of a PT. It doesn't work all the time, but it does work. So definitely good for base defense. You know, if somebody's trying to raid you, you can sit at your entrance and just shoot poison balls. These poison balls are basically the same thing as a gas grenade. They're pretty overpowered though, if you know how to use them. But when you put it next to a fire and a lightning wyvern, they're just not as good. Then we have the ice wyvern, which was released with Ragnarok. So it is the newest flyer to come to ASA. And well, this thing's pretty insane looking. It has all these nice little icicles kind of on it. And well, you kind of guessed it. It does an ice ability. It basically freezes players. It's similar to a snow owl, except this slows them. Instead of fully freezes them, it will slow them. It is very powerful if you're in a pig fight or something, or you're just in a flyer battle. Ice wyvern is going to win pretty much every single time because of that slow effect. So I'm going to try to find a dino really quick to show you. But yeah, Ice Wyvern is definitely probably one of the best go-tos for PvP in my honest opinion, just because they can slow anything, and that is literally anything. Meaning, if you nail a perfect hit on any other Wyvern, or I don't know, a flyer or something, see, that's what happens. I mean, you're most likely gonna win as long as you don't have a guy with a lightning that's trying to just annihilate you. It's a little bit iffy. But that slow effect lasts more than it should, making this guy pretty powerful. I almost forgot, but lastly we have the Meguna, or the Meguana, however you want to say this thing. Now while this guy technically is not a flyer, he can still pretty much fly around the map for the most part. You can hold down spacebar, jump up, and then hit shift, and he glides. Now yes, he's not a flyer, but for the most part his entire ability does involve him flying. So it's technically gliding. But you kind of get what I mean here. So he's pretty good at it, and he's pretty phenomenal at just outrunning most things. If somebody is on a PT and they're trying to pick you, all you gotta do is just hold spacebar, jump, shift, and you're out of there. I mean, it's literally that simple. But yeah, definitely a good dino to have, and probably one of the best dinos for just traveling and getting around on ARK. So now we're on ASC, and as you can see here, this is our first little dino. This is the Simocrops. Now, I thought this was released on ASA, but I completely forgot. I think it came out with Lost Island. And yeah, this is technically a flyer. When you jump and you hold spacebar, he can fly you around. And as long as his stamina is high, you could pretty much fly. You can also dive by using, I forget the button. There it is. Okay, so it's C. So C allows you to dive with him, basically turning him into a wingsuit. If you want to go out of it, you hit C again, and then you go back to using spacebar. So yeah, just hit C and hold down shift, and you're able to fly as if he is just a glider suit. Simocrops is probably one of the most useful little shoulder pets to have on you at all times. But it works about the same as a wingsuit, except you can actually fly upwards, which is what makes him very, very, very useful. So yeah, definitely recommend getting one of these guys. Next up, we have the Desmodus, which is also known as the Bat. And this thing's pretty insane because it has the ability to pick dinos. It has a crazy stamina amount compared to other flyers. You can move backwards as if you were a, well, I don't know, like a griffin and all, except his mobility is much better. You can also dive bomb, which is pretty crazy. So you can dive bomb, pick somebody, and get out of there. Not to mention, he makes blood bags. You can see here, well, he technically makes these elixirs, which cost blood bags. And well, to heal him, like if he's damaged, you literally just feed him blood packs, or you go kill players. If you kill a player, it will basically put his health up. You also get packs from doing that. It's pretty insane. Not to mention that he can hang upside down on stuff. He can hang on the sides of walls. I mean, it's pretty insane. So you can sit here, pounce somebody, pick them, dead. I mean, probably one of the most overpowered PvP mounts to have. Especially just for mobility and being able to just move super fast. Definitely recommend getting one of these guys. Next up, we have the Trope. Now the Trope, or the Tropocaprion, whatever you want to call this dude. The Tropogothanus. I know I butchered that. Anyways, this guy is coming out with, I believe, Lost Island, I believe. I'm probably wrong. I completely forget. I think it's Crystal Isles, actually. Yeah, never mind. It might be Crystal. But this guy has some cool abilities. So he can shoot out of this cannon on the front here, if you can see. Shoots some grenades out of that so you can damage structures and all, but nothing crazy. But he has a jetpack on him. So this is his normal speed right here. But if you put gasoline in here and you hit spacebar, or sorry, it was control, not spacebar, he turns into a jet-powered, crazy dino that can dive bomb. Pretty insane how fast he moves too. I mean, you can really get going, and you can just dive bomb straight at something and shoot at a base or whatever, or shoot at some other players. I don't really know. It's pretty overpowered though. Biggest downside, nobody really uses this guy for much because he doesn't really do as much. He's good for traveling if you want to use some gasoline. But he does get going relatively quick. But when you put it next to something like a Crystal Wyvern or whatever, he's not really the best. Which I'll show you the difference with a Crystal Wyvern here in a second. Here is a Crystal Wyvern. Now these come in 3 different variants. This is just one of the base ones. It comes in that, a blood, and then I believe a crystal version or whatever it is. And well, these things are pretty insane because of their main ability. So they come in different kind of variants. Like this is a fire one. They come in blood, fire, and I forget the other. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But look at the speed difference on these guys. Now you can't upgrade movement speed, but the biggest downside is that their health is extremely low. That is the only issue about why these guys are very weak. But the movement speed is about 25 to 50% faster than a regular Wyvern. And you can definitely tell that just by looking at how he just moves and his mobility. You can take turns a little sharper too. It feels like he moves around faster. Could be wrong. Could just be my mind playing with me. But yeah, definitely a good thing to get. Oh, and they're passive tames, meaning you can go to Crystal Isles with some crystal. Go find one in the far left or far right corner of the map. And literally tame one by just hopping on its back and just taming it with crystal. It's that easy. And the last technical Wyvern on this list is the Void Rim. They come in all kinds of different colors. This is just an orange one. And well, these guys can do some pretty cool things. Holding down right click shoots lasers instead of, you know, the average Wyvern thing. These lasers are very powerful and you can cover a massive range. Like look at this range. Not to mention it goes until you run out of stamina, by the way. It doesn't just go for, you know, a small animation like the other Wyverns. This one goes until you run out of stamina, which is pretty incredible. Now this guy can't really do too much. He's regular, I mean, he's just like a Wyvern. You know, he can pick, he's got his main abilities and all that. But you do, yeah, it's about the same, to be honest with you. There's nothing too crazy. He's not as strong as a regular Wyvern as well. And these guys are going to be released with Genesis too. You can find them over in the big open like space area. But yeah, that's where you find these guys. Kind of similar to most other Wyverns, just a cool tech bionic version of one if you're looking for something like that. Then we have the Astrodelphis. Now this is only on ASC currently, and this thing is actually kind of cool. Now, unfortunately, I think Aquatica kind of copied the same style as this, but this is known as one of the space whales. There's a bigger space whale in the back. This is the smaller one, and he's pretty interesting about how he looks. He does cool little animations off of his tails and his fins. He can float in midair and use literally no stamina, which is a big, awesome thing with him. He can also turn on a dime, which is pretty nice. But if by holding down left control, he turns into, well, a cannon. So definitely one of the more interesting dinos. He can shoot lasers out the side of him, well, the front of him technically. Holding down shift gives him a nice little boost so he can get going. But yeah, definitely an interesting dino. I don't really use him. I never have really used him. But if you're looking for something like this, there you go. And lastly, we have the Space Whale, or known as the Astrocetus, I believe. And this thing is enormous. He has a good amount of abilities, being a cannon on the top. He has a cannon underneath him. He can do a tail slap ability, which is interesting. His main attack isn't anything too crazy. It's just kind of a bite. But using C, you are able to shoot stuff by using element, I believe. I'm not entirely sure how to make this thing work. I have never really used him for anything. Yeah, so that did something. I don't know what it did. But yeah, his abilities are interesting, I'll just say that. I have never used this guy personally. I've literally never used him for anything. So I'm a little confused on how to fully use him. But yeah, he is definitely one of the more interesting dinos, and he can teleport through structures, which is interesting. I think it's hyperdrive. I'm not sure how to charge that up. Never mind, there it is. That is a teleportation device. So just hold down spacebar, and yeah, he can teleport through things, which is kind of overpowered. It's meant to just teleport, but he can actually teleport through structures, unless they fixed it. I don't think that they did, though, because it's ARK. But this guy's absolutely enormous. He's decently overpowered. I mean, he's got an okay amount of health for what he is, but I wouldn't really recommend him for too much. But yeah, so that is every single flyer on ARK. I tried to get every single one of them that acts like a flyer as well, but also just to have every single flyer just to show you everything and what you think that you should tame. If you find one on this list that you like, go out and tame it. It's very easy to find, you know, a tutorial on where to find them. It's all over the internet, or you could just go to Dodo Decks and you can easily find what you need for them, how to tame them, where to find them, all that good stuff. But anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy. Don't forget to leave a like if you're new, and please hit that subscribe button. We are almost at 100,000. It would mean the world to me. But anyways, thanks for watching.